through our topic, reorder paragraph. This is quite difficult topic, but all you need to do is understand how the computer mark in your exam, okay? For PT, why lots of students, they can get 79 plus. It's not about how good is your English, no, okay? It's about the techniques that you learned. However, everyone learned the techniques, but a few of them use the technique correctly, okay? If you don't use the techniques correctly, you won't be able to find out the correct answer. That's all, okay? Right, this is the topic. Remember, only give you mark for reading, okay? And for those aim for 65 plus or 79 plus, why I ask you guys try to manage this topic, there is a reason behind this, okay? But I will explain a bit later. First of all, how many questions in your exam? Minimum 2, maximum 3, okay? So minimum 2 questions, maximum 3 questions. Next one. How much time I need to spend for one question? Maximum 3 minutes, okay? Now, what if after 3 minutes, I don't know the answer? Guess, that's all, okay? Correct. All you need to do is guess and move on. Don't stress about it. Why? Because even though you try to spend a bit more time, you're still stuck, okay? So rather waste your time in one particular question. Who knows? Maybe the next question is easier, right? That's why, okay? Now, how computer marks reorder paragraph is marked as a pair, okay? So my question is, what does it mean by a pair? What does it mean by a pair? A pair of shoes.
Sentences.
Yeah, it means 2, right? Couple, correct. So a pair of shoes, a pair of socks, that means 2, right? A pair of chopsticks. So when we heard that a pair, that means 2. Okay. So for reorder, it's marked as a pair, 2 sentences together. Okay. Now I'll give you some examples. What does it mean by reorder paragraph? Well, basically, they give you the incorrect order, okay? So for example, on your left-hand side, this is the incorrect order. Now, they give you 5 sentences, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Now, here is the answer, which is the target. So what you have to do, you have to click on the sentence, and then you drag and drop in the target column to make a correct order, okay? Right, now you have 5 sentences. In that case, how many pairs? If you have 5 sentences, how many pairs do you have?
3, I think.
3.
4 pairs.
4 pairs, correct. It should be 4 pairs. How? Here is how it works. 1 and 2 is 1 pair. 2 and 3 is another pair. 3 and 4 is another pair. And then 4 and 5 is another pair, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 4 pairs if you have 5 sentences, okay? What if you have only 4 sentences? How many pairs do you have? 3, correct. That's right. So in the exam, the maximum pair computer will give to you is 4 pairs, which is 5 sentences, okay? And the minimum is 3 pairs, which is 4 sentences in your exam, okay? Right, that is how it's marked. Now, next one. For example, my answer for this question is, so this is my answer. Okay, now this is the correct answer. How many marks do I have?
0.
Are you sure I'm end up with 0?
No.
How many pairs do I have?
You have 3 pairs.
1.
3.
3 pairs, sure.
Yep.
So my answer,
Yeah, 2 pairs.
my
3
answer
pairs.
is 5, 3. Okay, they don't have 5, 3. 3 and 2. Yes, the correct answer 3, 2.
2.
My answer, yes, I got 1 pair. 2
2 to
and 1.
1
Correct, I
and
got
1 to
another
4.
pair.
3 pairs.
1 to 4. 1 to
And
4.
1, 4, I got another pair, right? So the incorrect is number 5. So I put the beginning, but the correct answer is the end, right? However, I still have the pair, right? What does it mean for reorder paragraph when you have the pair? A correct pair will give you 1 mark. Okay? So in my answer, I have 3 pair, right? So in that case, I have 3 marks, even though my order is incorrect. Do you get me now? So you don't have to be everything like 100% to get the marks. No, all you need to do is try to get the pair. That's what I meant. So out of this, I have 3 pairs, and then I will have 3 marks. That's all. Okay. Right. Now next one. If my answer is like this one, do I have any marks compared with the correct answer?
No.
Do I have any marks? No, I don't have any marks. Why? Because my answer is completely incorrect order. No pair. Correct. Now 3 and 2 is 1 pair. But I have 2 and 3. That is wrong. Do you get me? 2 and 1 is 1 pair. I don't have it. 1 and 4, I have 4 and 1. No, it's wrong as well. Okay, it needs to be 1 and 4. Okay, and then 4 and 5, no. Okay, so turn out this one incorrect, 0. Okay, so for reorder paragraph, what I want you guys to do in your exam, try your best to get the correct pair. Okay, I don't ask you guys, okay, for example, in this question, they have 4 pairs, right? All I need you try your best to get at least 2 out of 4. Okay. I don't ask you to get the perfect score. If it's easy, you can get perfect score. That's good. But if it's not that easy, try your best to get the pair. Okay. Right. Next one. Now, this is something I mentioned earlier. Reorder can be a reorder can become more important to your design score if there is a level of difficulty. Have you guys heard about level of difficulty? Have you? No? Haven't heard before? Okay. So level of difficulty actually depending on the computer. Okay. Now, why some of your friends go for the exam, some of them say, oh, my exam is easy. Some of them say, oh, my exam is difficult, right? Some of them say, I have no idea what happened in my exam. All of the questions that I feel like completely difficult, right? So that depends on the computer, okay? That's right. So when you go for your exam, computer will automatically generate the question for you. And depend on how lucky you are, I would say. Okay, that's why some students they get the score so easily. Some students it take a bit of time. I have to go a bit like multiple times to get my score. So that's because depend on the level of difficulty. Okay, right. So it depends on how lucky you are. I would say, right. Now the minimum level is level 1 and the maximum is level 5, right? So level 1 and level 2, believe me, everyone can handle it. But starting from level 3, it will be more difficult. So what happened? Some of the question, oh, I know the answer straight away. Some of the question take time for you to find out the answer. Okay, so that's depend on this. Okay, right now, if level 3 apply in one of the question in the reorder paragraph. Okay, now normally 1 mark for each correct pair, right? And if it's a level 3, multiply for it. 1 mark, right, for 1 pair. So now 3 marks for 1 pair.
The highest score.
Correct, that's right. You just multiply for it, okay?
I'm sorry, the level of difficulty is for all the exam or just, for example, written?
Mainly is applied across the exam question, okay? But in your reading, it will drop in one of the questions.
So it's not all the exam, level 3, level 5.
Yeah.
It's-
So
each
for
question is
example,
different.
let's say in reorder paragraph, you may feel a bit difficult, right? But then when you do the order reading topic, for example, fill in the blank, right?
Easy.
It's a bit easier. That's how it's work.
Okay,
So
it's a
the computer
balance.
always balance it. Like one will be difficult, the other one will be easier. Okay, yeah. But some students, they actually very lucky. All of the question can be easy. Okay, so that is the thing. It's all about computer. Right. So now 3 marks for 1 pair. Okay, and if you have 4 pairs in total, the total marks gonna be 12. Right? You just multiply for it. Okay. We actually don't know which level in the question. You don't know. Okay, computer won't tell you. But when you are practicing after the topic today, when you are practicing, you'll be able to know. Okay, this question, I find out the answer straight away. It takes me only 2 minutes, and my answer is correct. Now the next question, okay, this one I spent around 4 minutes, right? And I may have only 1 correct pair. So that's how it is. Okay. That's how you feel is a bit more difficult. That means it's applied level of difficulty. Okay. Right, techniques. So I just let you know about this so you can be prepared for it. Okay. What happened? Because some students, when they are practicing, they always practice the question in their comfort zone. Okay. You don't want to do something difficult. But then in your exam, how do you know it's going to be easy? You get me? Okay. So these are the situations that I want you to prepare for it. Always prepare for the worst situation. Never prepare for the best situation. Okay. Techniques. This one give you mark for reading, right? So what you have to do? Read. You need to read first because without read the information, you won't be able to use the techniques. That's what I mean. But most of the time, students forget about it. They always apply the technique first and then they read later. No, okay? You need to read first. I need you guys to read through, scan and skim the information, okay? The topic, the idea, scan the information, right? The topic and the idea. So how do I know it's a topic and how do I know it's the idea of the paragraph? Now, when you are reading, you need to pay attention on repeated information. Okay, repeated keywords. That's what it is. And this technique you also use in summarize written text and summarize spoken text. Okay, so this is our topic today after reorder, and I will show you again. We're gonna use the same. We're gonna use the same techniques. Okay, repeated words. Right. So that is how you do your reading. Pay attention on repeated information. Next one. When you scan through the paragraph, you need to scan through the repeated words. You see the keyword, okay? Because these are the keywords for you. Second, you need to pay attention on discourse marker, okay? Why discourse marker? What does it mean by discourse marker? Discourse marker is a connector. That's right. That's correct. Okay. So why do I have to pay attention on connector?
Because what does it mean have something before?
That's right. So when we use connector, we try to link two sentences together, right? So for example, if I write something here, and then I use however, and then I write the next sentence, right? So when I see the connector, that means it needs to have the sentence before it, correct? Okay. So when you are reading, you need to pay attention on connector, okay, which is discourse marker. And I will explain to you guys why later, okay? Next one. When you are reading, you need to pay attention on pronouns. For example, he, she, they, them, this, that, right? Him, her, or they, for example, okay? So pronouns is one of the techniques as well. Right. So these are the things you need to pay attention when you are reading. Okay. Next one. The first technique in reorder paragraph, which is identify the first sentence. Okay.
I get a lot of problem with this one because if I make mistake on the first sentence, normally
It's linked with the rest of the sentence.
all is the problem.
Yep.
Okay, if I get the first one, normally when I do the test, it goes smooth. If the first one is wrong, all go wrong.
Okay. Now I will tell you why it's happened that way. Okay. But always remember, the first sentence sometimes can be easy to find out, sometimes can be difficult, right? In the case, if it's difficult to find the first sentence, don't try to do it. Okay, don't try to find the first sentence if you cannot find out any of them. Leave it there. You need to find out the link between the sentence. That's right. Because at the end, what happened? Some students, they have the first sentence correct, but then the sentence after that is wrong. The sentence after that is not connecting, right? So at the end, it doesn't matter one sentence is correct and the rest is wrong. You end up with 0. That's what happened. Okay. So this is the first techniques. But again, I don't want you guys like literally, because this is something very good that you say. Students, they blindly try to find the first sentence in the first place. Okay. And when they stuck, they still try to find it rather than try to read the information and pair them together. Okay, I'll show you guys later how we use it. Okay, so first of all, how to find the first sentence. Now, the first sentence of the paragraph is always give you the introduction. Okay, it's the same as essay. When you guys write an essay, what do I need you to give me? Introduction, right? So the first sentence is always either give you the introduction of the topic. Okay. It may give you the overview of the information and the topic, or it may also can give you a definition. Okay. So for example, they may give you, so for example, they say industrial revolution is, one of the most important period and things like that, right? So now they give you the overview, the definition of industrial revolution. Okay. So when you are reading, pay attention on this. Right. So introduction of topic, overview, and definition. Next one. The first sentence can also call independent sentence. Okay. What does it mean by independent sentence? What do you think? What does it mean by independent sentence?
speak that one and have a sense and don't need other things.
So first of all, independent sentence is the sentence can stand alone. Okay, the sentence that is can make sense by itself. It make meaning by itself, right? It can be the statement, yep. But it doesn't need to depend on the other sentence to make sense. Do you get me? So for example, I'll give you this. Can you have a look at example number 1? Example number 1. You have two sentences, sentence 1 and sentence 2. Now, which one is the first sentence?
Sarah is smart.
Sarah is smart.
Why? Why sentence 2 is the first sentence?
Because the subject,
First is makes sense, right? Second, what happened? What happened? Do you know who is she?
No.
No.
No, not yet, right? If you read the sentence number 1, you have no idea who is this person. Now, if you read sentence number 2, oh, she is Sarah. So that means sentence number 1 depends on sentence number 2, right? So in that case, sentence number 2 is the first sentence, right? Because it makes sense by itself. Sarah is smart. Done, right? That's how it is. Okay. So when you read a sentence and that sentence doesn't make sense to you, especially, oh, who is she? I have no idea. Okay. Right. So that is called independent sentence. Now, next one. The first sentence, it cannot, I need you to remember this, okay? First sentence cannot contain connector, which is discourse marker. All right. So like I mentioned it, why you guys need to pay attention on however, moreover, furthermore, finally, So these are called connector, discourse marker, right? And why do we need to pay attention on them when we are reading? Because the first sentence is cannot contain the connector. That's it. Okay. Next one. The first sentence cannot contain pronouns. So that's why when you are reading, you need to pay attention on pronoun. Okay. For example, like that example I gave to you, he, she, us, right? This and that. Okay. So for example, who is she? Have no idea. So the first sentence cannot contain pronoun. Okay. Right. Now I need you to have another example about this. Can you go through example number 3? You have two sentences, sentence 1 and sentence 2. Now the question in here is, which one, however, is a discourse marker?
I think with the comma.
Second one?
Second one or the first one?
First one.
First one.
First one.
Now, what's the difference between two sentences? These two sentences. Why you select the first one?
However, relates. I think it relates the. Maybe it connects.
It has a comma.
The
so
first
it-
sentence
It
can
has
be
a That's right. Okay.
second.
So comma is something that you need to pay attention after the discourse marker, connector. Because without the comma, however, is not a connector. That's right. So this is belong to the grammar rules. The other day I have mentioned it. Okay. So this is something that Pearson actually used in reorder. And most of you are trapped with this. Because what happened? Oh, however, discourse marker cannot be the first sentence. Straight away, that's how you guys do. But you forget, it needs to have a comma after that. To be a discourse marker, to be a connector.
However, the weather is bad today. The second one could be the first sentence.
That's right, correct. Because however, in this one is not a connector. The function is not a connector, just because of the comma. Okay, so I want you guys to remember this because actually it's applied in the reorder paragraph. Okay. Right. Now, however, in the sentence number 2, it can be an adverb. Okay. And for an adverb, it can be the first sentence, right? So only the connector cannot be the first sentence. Why? Because like I mentioned, between the connector, you need to have 2 sentences, right? Sentence 1 and sentence 2. So for this one, however, is a connector. And for the second one, however, it is not a connector. Okay.
So sentence 2 can be a first sentence.
That's right. In that case, this one, this however, can be the first sentence.
Example, how can you continue a sentence after that, for example?
Let's say, however, the weather is bad today. We may need to cancel our trip. Okay, that's how it is. Right. So this is the example. I just want you to understand the differences, okay, between a discourse marker and the same word but no comma is not a connector. Okay. Right. Last one. So these are the technique for the first sentence. Okay, identify the first sentence. So we have done 3 of them. The last one, article. For article, tell me why sometimes you guys use articles and an, and why sometimes do you use article the? What's the difference between the article? For example, there is a chair in this room. And there is the chair in this room
The
that
chair
I
is
like.
specific. A chair is one of these.
That's right, correct. If I say there is a chair in this room, do you know what chair am I talking about? No idea. So many chairs, right? But if I say there is the chair in this room that I like, so I will specifically say there is one of the chairs that I like. Okay, specific information. So I want you to understand the differences between an, and the. Okay. Right. So in that case, in terms of the order, the flow, are we going from specific information to general information, or we go from general information to specific information?
In general, specific.
Correct. Okay. So always remember, it needs to be general information to specific information. Now, remember when you guys write an essay, first of all, what you need to do? Introduction. Now, do you give me the detailed information in the introduction? No, right? So introduction gonna be general, okay? And then after that, you're gonna give me body 1 and body 2. That's where you give me a bit more specific information. That's right, okay? So same as the other one, like, okay, all right, I need you to give me the idea, all right? After your idea, you need to explain it. And after you explain it, you need to give me example. So idea will be general, and then you start to explain it, become more specific. And then example is the specific information. Okay, so that's how it works. Right.
So in the first sentence, we will find only A or N, right? Not the, because it's specific.
So depends. Sometimes for example, you have to know what is the topic. Okay, but mainly they will use and _n in the general information and the for specific. But sometimes in the paragraph they only use the. That's right. So you have to know what are they talking about. Okay. Right. Can you do example number 2?
The first one is the sentence 2. And the sentence 1 is the second one because of the comma, and then that likely
2, 1.
to the subject of the first
So 2 and 1, right?
Yeah.
Now, luckily, the cat is all right. The cat, do you know what cat is it?
Yes.
Right? You have no idea where the cat coming from, right? So without the general information, you won't be able to know what they're talking about. Just like without the topic, you don't know what the example is about, right? So sentence number 2, there is a cat crossing the street, right? So now I know that the cat they mentioned in here is a cat that crossing the street. Okay, so a cat makes sense, right? And then the cat is replaced for a cat. So 2 and 1. Okay. So you have to base on the information. Okay, that's how you do your reorder. Now, the first technique is done. Identify the first sentence. Do you guys have any question? On good, right? Next one. The next technique is logical flow. And this one I already explained to you guys pretty much from the first technique as well. So for example, when you discuss about something, right? And the information, the flow that you discuss is, for example, you go from future, past, and then present, right? Does it make sense? Future, past, present? No, right? Correct. So the logical flow, it needs to be past, present, and then future. Okay. Again, without the problem, can you give me solution? Problem? We cannot find out solution, so it needs to be problem first and then solution, right? Next one, idea, example, the same as essay, like I explained to you guys, right? You need to give me idea, you need to explain it, and then you need to give me the example. So that's it, the logical flow. Question and answer. So without giving the question, you cannot be able to give the answer, right? So question come first and then answer come after. The next one is about full name and partial name. So for example, Mr. John Smith, right? Now, later, you call this person is either Mr. John or Mr. Smith, right? So you have to have the full name first, then you can call that person partial name, okay? Otherwise, you become rude. All right. Point data and statistic is the same. It's pretty much similar to this one, I would say. You need to have the main point, and then you have the data and statistic, which is more like an example. Okay. It's the same, similar. Right. The order of the idea is always, remember, general to specific. Okay. Right. Next one. The last logical flow, let me explain to you. This one quite special. Now, if they give you an order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 sentences, right? Now, this is incorrect order, okay? You have to make sure it's a correct order. So, let's say the logical flow in this Order is the general to specific. Can you guess the correct order? So the first sentence is start with a and an. The second sentence without any article. The third sentence start with the. And the last sentence start with a direct quotation. So if I ask you guys to give me the order from general to specific, how you gonna make this order?
Four, one, two, three.
What do you know?
4, 1, 3, 2. 4, 1, 3, 2.
What do you know between a, an, and the?
General is a general information, and there is a specific thing.
So in that case, which one comes first?
The
Number one comes first, number three after, right? That's what we
Yep.
know. Okay?
Yep.
You have two sentences left. One is without any article, and the other one is a sentence start with a direct quotation.
2 and 4.
So in that case, sentence number 2 doesn't give you
Maybe the
any.
third one.
So that means it's going to be more general than article, or is it going to be more specific?
General.
Correct.
General.
Because it doesn't start with any article. That means it's even more general than article, right? So 2 first, and then 4. Okay. Now a sentence when they put a direct quotation, what does it mean to you?
The reference of something.
Correct. Very specific information. Okay. So that is how it works. Now, if you look at the example after that, this one, do you know what's in the order?
1, 3, 2.
Correct. 1, 3, 2. Sentence number 1, most of countries. Do you know what country yet? No. Why? Because it's too general. Do you get me?
Yes.
So it's way too general. You have no idea what country yet. It's okay. Now, if you see the country, the definitely specific. 3 countries. So a country, that means one of the most countries in here, right? So 3 first and then 2 after. Okay. So always remember general to specific. Techniques. Last one. Timeline. Now for the timeline, it's actually based on the chronological order, which is we call is the numerical order. You base on the number, basically. Okay. So for example, 1988, 1985, and 1997. Right? Do you know which one comes first?
1985.
Correct. And then 88, and then
97.
right. So this one is easy because pretty much just based on the numerical order. Okay. Now there's one thing about these techniques. I need you to remember this one. You need to watch out for the change in topic, which is be careful if they change the topic. Okay, I'll give you the example later, but this is something you need to be careful.
Hello.
For example,
आप बताएं, ठीक है?
past, present, and future. That's what it is. Okay. So like exactly like this one. Past, present, and future. That's how you find out the answer for this one too. But if they change the topic, this will be changed. Okay. And I will show you an example later for this one. Right. Next one. Between BC and AD. What does it mean by BC and what does it mean by AD? Before Christ. And AD is after death of Christ, right? But most of the time you don't see 80 because why? 80 is a normal number like this one we call 80, right? But for BC, they always put BC after the number. What does it mean? So, for example, I always draw a timeline when they talk about BC because it can be confusing sometimes. All right, here is 0. Whatever happened before 0, we call it a BC, right? And after 0 is 80. BC and then 80.
Ma'am, BC stand for before crisis.
Yep, before Christ, and then 80 is after death of Christ. Okay. For example, now they say 800 BC and 900 BC. Which one closer to 0?
900 BC.
Now,
900.
800 and 900. Which one?
800.
800 BC, correct. Okay, so 800 BC will be here. And 900 BC will be here. So in that case, which one come first? Is it 900 BC come first or 800 BC come first?
900 comes first. 800.
That's right. So the order will be 900 BC first and then 800 BC later. Okay, why? That's why I need you guys to draw a timeline. For BC, it's like a negative, minus. And 80 is like a plus, which is positive. Okay, for the minus, you start with -2 or -1. Where do you put -2 and where do you put -1?
-2 comes first. -1. Yeah.
So -1 is closer to 0, right? So that is how it works for BC. Exactly the same, like a minus, okay? So 900 BC like a -900 and 800 BC like a -800. So when you put in the timeline like this, you know exactly which one comes first, okay? So for BC, it's always opposite with 80. For example, 1988 and 1985, which one comes first?
85.
Correct. So 1985 gonna be here, right? And then 1988 after, right? That's all. Okay. Right. So that's it, the timeline and BC and 80 because this sometimes they use in the reorder. Okay. So you guys need to be able to distinguish the difference between these two. Okay. Next one, 21st century and 18th century. Which one comes first? This is so easy. 18th century comes first, right? Okay. I need you to write down this one. The terms that they may use in here. Okay. The term they may use, which is a decade ago, 10 years ago, correct? Very good. A prior to, before, after, until, or during. Okay. So a decade, that means 10. How many years for a century?
Right.
100 years. And how many years for a millennium? 1000. Okay. Because this is also the question they ask you in the answer short question. They ask how many years for a millennium, and then everyone just stopped, had no idea what's the answer. Okay, so sometimes a century and a decade we use a lot, but we don't use a lot for a millennium. Okay. All right, so the last technique, timeline, is done. Okay, just be careful.